All right, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to 1080 The Fan. I am your host, Rashad Taylor. I'm here with Mr. Isaac, Mr. Suk, the leaders of the primetime crew. How you guys doing, guys?
Oh, I'm good, man. Don't call me Mr. though. I don't need to be called Mr.
Dad? I got you, Isaac.
Come on.
Now it's an outhouse in a
Come on now.
the old outhouse in a hotel sort of thing. It just doesn't
Yes.
belong.
Yeah.
We're far from Mr.
I got you.
Good to be
you guys
here,
are still young guys. So, talking about football, I just wanted to ask you guys a quick question. Man, is my man Colin Kaepernick worth the $18 million that he's asking for? I know he's asking for a whole lot. He's asking for what Romo got. He got him a little further than Romo. A lot of people are back and forth saying it's not really his team. Curious to what you guys think.
Good question. I'll go first. I have been doing a show with this man for 8 years, and never has he looked at me with nothing to say. I think he's trying to throw you a curveball. I know his opinion on this. I do not think he's worth $18 million. And as a matter of fact, if I'm the 49ers, I am looking for another option just in case it doesn't work out with him. I think he's good. I know they are good, and they've been to the brink. But I don't know. I think there are other options out there that they could explore. And I would not pay him $18 million.
You know this, Rashad, though. Look, this is the starting quarterback money. I mean, you look at Cutler, you look at Stafford, you look at Flacco. I mean, Flacco won a Super Bowl, but I don't think anyone thinks Joe Flacco is a phenomenal talent.
No, absolutely not.
Look, this is what it costs to get a starting quarterback. So if you don't go with Kaepernick, someone else will pay him the $18 million.
So Isaac, you said that you would go with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, who else would you go with? Not Kaepernick.
In the draft. I'd find another Kaepernick in the draft.
Is there another Kaepernick in the draft?
Well, that's what they get paid to do. I mean, that's what they found Colin Kaepernick when nobody was talking about him. Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh did a good job finding him. I just think that's too steep, man. He's right. I mean, that's the going rate, but Kaepernick's good. What do you think? I think he's a little. This is going to sound terrible. I think he's a little overrated.
That does sound terrible.
I can agree with that just a little bit, just because I think he's a product of his team. I think he has a great defense behind him. He is probably the best linebacking group in all of football, so I think those things kind of protect him a little bit. He also has a great tight end, a great running back, a great receiver in Anquan Bolden. He has a lot of weapons to work with, and when you have a lot of those things, it makes it a little bit, in my eyes, makes it a little bit easier for you to
say the same thing about like Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
I mean, Russell Wilson's a product of.
Is he worth $18 million?
My next question to you,
he wins a Super Bowl, though. Would you have a problem paying Colin Kaepernick if he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Because he could have had one. He could have had two at this point.
Absolutely.
And then no one's going to argue it. Eli Manning makes $20 million, and yet no one says anything because he's won a Super Bowl. This is the going rate. Colin Kaepernick is a phenomenal quarterback. Colin Kaepernick is a top 10, top 12 quarterback, and that's what you got to pay him. Okay. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you're going to step up and pay him.
We all know it's a quarterback league, and we all kind of know that. So staying on the topic of quarterbacks, the Texans have the first pick in the draft.
Ooh.
I'm curious of Suk, who do you think they're going to take? Do they go defense and take Clowney, or do they go another route?
I think they'll take a quarterback. You said it. It's a quarterback league, and you got to find one. So it doesn't matter if you draft Jadeveon Clowney, or you go with receiver, or Mack, the linebacker from Buffalo, and the guy may be an all-pro, but offensive lineman, Joe Thomas has been like to 10 straight Pro Bowls for the Cleveland Browns. That meant wins. You need a quarterback in this league. There's 3 of them up there, whether it's Manziel, Bortles, or Teddy Bridgewater. They're going to take a quarterback because they know you need one in order to win, and they don't have one.
Yeah, and the thing is, they got a good new coach, and I think Houston, I know they only won 2 games. I think they might be pretty good next year because they have players. They need a quarterback though if they're going to go deep, and so I'd go quarterback.
Okay.
But I wouldn't go Manziel. I think he's a bonehead.
So if you're not going Manziel, who seems to be the pick of everybody, who do you go with?
I don't know. You know what I think I'd do, Rashad, is I'd probably trade out of there and try to stockpile picks. Somebody falls in love with Clowney, somebody falls in love with Manziel. I'd probably try to trade out there, get more picks later, and find my quarterback later in the draft.
That's what the Rams, when the Rams dealt all that for RG3, the Rams have 2 picks. The Rams may end up with a quarterback and a dominant defensive lineman in this year's draft, or if they decide that Bradford's still their guy, they can end up with a dominant receiver and a dominant lineman. 2 picks. Picks in the NFL to me are worth gold.
Yeah, I agree. So let's switch gears a little bit. I want to stay on the topic of football. Suk, I want to ask you because you actually played in the NFL.
Wait, I played. Oh,
did you really? Flag doesn't count, man. Like the little celebrity thing doesn't count.
I did have a high school, a little bit of a run in high school.
Okay.
Fell on a fumble once, Rashad, and
big time.
It was a big turnover at the time. Blew out the knee, but they did project me pretty high in the draft. So
That's awesome.
It's too bad, you know.
That's awesome. Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get to ask you the question. I want
Oh,
you, Sue.
sorry.
Thank you guys for checking in.
Oh,
with
is
me,
that
man.
it?
This is Rashad Taylor, man. 1080 The Fan.
Sorry, I hijacked that.
Well done, Rashad. Go ahead and stay there for just a minute, Rashad, as we want to hear from the judges. So you can stay put, Rashad, for just a minute. You can hear what the judges have to say, and we will start with Dusty Hara.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think that you were the fourth last week. I didn't think you were the guy that was going to be the fourth. And at the very beginning of that segment, I thought that I may have been right.
Yeah, it's brutal.
At the end of it, there's no doubt I think you're the fourth. It started off a little bit rocky, but as you got more comfortable, I am very glad that you are one of the guys that got through.
Thank you.
I thought you did a very good job with that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You started to show your personality at the end, and you cracking jokes, and you had an opinion that on every little bit that you talked about. And when you're going to come out in those situations, you can never go wrong with football, no matter where it is. I thought you did a good job there, Rashad.
I appreciate it.
Very impressed, man.
Brandon Sprague, what you think of Rashad?
Yeah, you had good topic selection. I probably would have went a different direction a little bit with that topic because you can fire up the fans a little more. It's never easy to quarterback a segment with Isaac, who is naturally a quarterback, and Suk is very opinionated. He can go on and on with his opinion as well. You were a little timid at first. It's kind of new for you, so I didn't expect a ton. You started to kind of come out of your shell at the end there, but overall, for total presence, to me, you didn't bring enough. Like when we talk about the top two doing this every weekend, I need to see people come out of their shell right away, act like this is something that you've been doing for a long time. I didn't get that vibe from you there.
Fair enough.
Quick word, Isaac, what you think?
Yeah, you know, it's hard being first in this capacity because we do this every day. So Suk and I can do sports, and we can just talk and talk. So I think I kind of feel bad for Rashad being first because I felt like we, in our opinions, we just kind of went into sports radio mode, and you didn't get to hear a lot of him. So I think we kind of hijacked him in a way there. But other than that, I thought he was nervous. I think you were nervous, and you know that showed. But, you know, that's the first one, so maybe the other guys are worse. Maybe the other guys are better. I don't know. We'll compare.
Well, we will find out. Neil will be up next, but for Keith. We got a microphone for you up here, Keith. All righty. So, Rashad, we drew your name first. The point you will debate is the following. Oregon's run as the dominant football power in the Pac-12 is over. Rashad, your name was drawn first. Are you going to argue for or against that statement?
I'm going to argue. I'm going to go argue for the Ducks, I guess.
So
on this one.
you're going to argue.
No. Can I change that? Can I argue against the Ducks?
You're going to argue
Yeah, I
that
think I'm
their
gonna do that.
run is over.
Yeah.
Okay. You are arguing in favor of the Oregon's run as the dominant football power in the Pac-12 is over. Keith, you will argue against that statement. This is 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Rashad, since you won, you will begin. You guys have 5 minutes.
All right, so living here in the town, obviously the Ducks are the biggest game in town as far as football is concerned. Over the past couple of years, though, man, the Ducks haven't played in the Pac-12 championship. They've actually lost out to UCLA and I believe, I'm sorry, what was the other team they lost out to? Either way, they lost twice in the Pac-12
Arizona
championship. Arizona State, thank you very much. And the 2 times they've lost, they didn't just lose, they got kind of beat. It was like SmackDown Hotel. So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the fact that teams like Stanford are just bigger. And, you know, a lot of times, man, this beat everybody with speed stuff, man, it doesn't necessarily work. When you get into the trenches, especially when you're getting deep in the games and you can't move the ball like that, man, you've got to be able to push the defensive line back. And the fact is, man, when you're small up front, it's hard to do that. And now there's a possibility, it might not happen, but there's a possibility of maybe not having this such fast-paced offense and everything. So I think that's one of the reasons that the Ducks, it might be done money for them.
Now, come on, Rashad. Let's be real for just a minute. We are still talking about the Oregon Ducks, who have been the most dominant force in the Pac-12 for almost, the better part of a decade. We're talking about a team that created an offense that was so creative, that was so fast. You got coaches in other leagues who are saying, let's make some rules so they can't go so fast. And let me ask you this. All things considered, do you not believe that when Stanford's on the schedule this next year, there's going to be a bunch of angry Ducks ready to go in and kick their butts right out of the stadium?
Absolutely.
It's going to be a blowout. The Ducks are going to beat Stanford this year. They're probably going to go to another BCS bowl game. They've got another recruiting class, and I'm telling you, they are the class of the Pac-12, and there is nobody who can catch them.
See, that's where I kind of got to disagree. So while they have been really good for the past couple of 10 years, dominant is a wrong word. Who has been dominant over the past 10 years or so? USC. They've been the class of the Pac-12 up until from about, let's say, 2002, 2003 and stuff like that. I believe they had about 3 national championships in there. They had a couple Heisman winners in there. We've yet to have a Heisman winner over there. The Ducks, while they've been good over the past few years, it still hasn't equated to a national championship. That's the one thing that the Ducks have not been able to deliver to the city of Eugene is a national championship. And until they do that, unfortunately, you can't be the giant of the Pac-12. Now you can win a lot of games, but you've got to win the big one. And the Ducks have been there, but they haven't won the big one.
I appreciate where you're coming from, but I hope your memory isn't that short. 2010. BCS National Championship. Auburn, Oregon, probably the greatest BCS title game in the history of the BCS.
And do you remember the score of that game?
It was a field goals difference.
Did the Ducks win?
There. They got to the dance.
Did they win?
And then as far as USC being dominant, they got to one national title too. And you know what happened? They got stripped, and the Heisman Trophy was repossessed.
We all saw
so
it
if you want to make that the class of the conference, I think
we
you
all
got
saw,
issues.
although it was stripped, that was for one player's parents getting money and stuff like that. Of course, that one championship was stripped, but that still doesn't take away the dominance. We all saw it, whether it was stripped or not. We all saw it. We all saw Reggie Bush dominate. We all saw Matt dominate for 2 seasons. Man, USC they've actually won. They can look at my rings. That's the one thing the Ducks have not been able to do yet. And until they do yet, they're still
here's the final point. The last time I checked, USC just fired its whole staff for lack of performance.
Absolutely.
Last I checked, the Ducks got a coach promoted to the NFL and continue to win games. At the end of the day, you must win games.
Absolutely. Winning games is indeed the very most important thing. But the fact is, did the Ducks go to a BCS championship this past year with this brand new coach? They did not. Did they go to a BCS game? They did not. So until they actually get to that point to where they can get there, not just consistently, not just for 4 years in a row, but consistently, the last time, other than the Chip Kelly run, the last time the Ducks were in a BCS game was like 2002, like 2001, the Fiesta Bowl. I think that was the last time that they were in a big game that actually meant something that wasn't the national championship or a Rose Bowl.
Again, short-term memory, and that's okay. 2011 Rose Bowl championship for the Ducks.
Yes, sir.
So Chip Kelly had a great time. We've had 1 year with Mark Helfrich. 1 year. You give that man the time to get his players and his system in place, and you are looking at the best team in the Pac-12.
I just think that at a point, the Ducks, they were flying high. They were doing this offense that very many colleges weren't doing. A lot of teams weren't doing this. Now, most teams are doing this. You look at Arizona's offense; they have a really fast-paced offense. You look at some stuff that they're trying to do in Cal; they're trying to speed things up a little bit. All of a sudden, just this fast-paced Oregon offense. It's no longer just an Oregon offense; it's spread all throughout the country. And at a point, man, these fast players and stuff, they're going to start going back to USC. They're going to start going back to Cal. They're going to start going back to all these teams around.
And
the
again,
Pac-12.
you can either be the innovator or you can be the imitator. Give me the Ducks.
Well done, fellas. Rashad and Keith, hang out up here for just a second. Hand you the microphone there. Your final chance to impress our judges here, Rashad. So I think everybody is set. They got fresh scoring sheets. Your 4-minute monologue begins now.
All right. So as it was said a little bit earlier, I do work for a local nonprofit. It's called Self-Enhancement Incorporated. And so I'm actually up at work the other day, and I'm looking out, and we at this nonprofit we have a charter school, and with that charter school come with a lot of youth sports. It's baseball season, so our baseball teams are actually gearing up to get ready to play. And as I'm sitting there looking, most of the students that go to this academy are black. And I'm looking, and I'm like, wow, we got enough to fill 2 teams as far as a 4th and 5th grade team and a 6th or 8th grade team, which is a great thing. And then I work at a high school. Actually, I work at a high school that's about 500 yards away from here. And I go and I look at the baseball practice that they're about to have today, and I notice that they're aren't as many black kids. There might be 2, maybe 3 on the varsity team. I think there was a couple on the JV team. It got me kind of thinking, like, why aren't there any black kids that are actually playing baseball these days? And so I thought about it, and I called around. I talked to some coaches. I called one of the baseball academies here in town, just kind of get some information. And I came up with some things of my own. Now, these are just my opinions, and take them if you want to. But this is the reason that I believe our African American students aren't participating in baseball. Number one, the MLB is boring to a lot of people, not just kids, but adults as well. I'm one of those people. I kind of like it. I'll watch it if it's on 7th, 8th inning, but for the most part, it's hard for me to sit down and watch a game because it's just kind of boring. That's one thing. Baseball kind of needs a little bit of a facelift. They need to do a little bit better job with their marketing. One thing football does is they do a great job with their draft. NBA as well. Well before the draft starts, you know who these players are. You know where they're coming from, even guys that we don't know. We get 2 months to hear about Blake Bortles or any one of these other guys that we've never seen before or never heard of from insert university here. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. And then you look at their all-star game, the fact that the NBA and the NFL, as much as we want to bag on the Pro Bowl, it is played on a Sunday. It is a time where everybody can sit down with their family, watch the stars of this league, kind of promote their product. MLB All-Star game is like on a Tuesday or something like that. And it's kind of hard for somebody, at least if you're me and you work all day, to come home on a Tuesday and kind of watch that game. Another thing is they don't do a great job of promoting their stars, particularly their black stars. I can see when I was a kid, like most of us in here, we had tons of black stars. There was Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla and Dwight Gooden, and there was Ozzie Smith. We had tons and tons of stars. Ken Griffey, if you're from the Northwest. Now it's hard for me to see these stars. They're not on commercials. They don't have shoes. They're not, kind of promoted like the NFL and the NBA does with their stars. Students, especially black kids, because I work with a lot of black kids, mostly black kids, they want to relate to people. They want to know that they can relate to people, which is a big reason I wear the Jordans. We're suit. It's a big reason I wear Jordans all the time is because, man, my kids see that. They relate to it because, hey, I like Jordans too. I do that as well. And so there's also this kind of this pop culture and the NBA and the NFL, they kind of go hand in hand. You look at the All-Star game for the NBA and you see star after star. You go to the Super Bowl for the NFL, you see star after star. That's one of those reasons. And black kids, they want to see other people doing what they do or doing with something that they like as well. Another big reason, I believe, is the fact that baseball is America's pastime, right? But it was America's pastime in like 1975, 56 and all that type of stuff when there wasn't much to do. And now that one thing that's missing, in my opinion, is there are a lot more single parents in the black community. So I know a lot of people, when they start playing baseball, how do they play? They play because their father sit them down. They either watch it on TV. They might have went outside and played catch or something like that. When you don't have that in your community, you do what your friends do. So what are they doing? They're playing basketball. They're playing football. And if you are coming from a single parent household, a lot of times there isn't a lot of money, and so you have to figure out how to do it. Baseball is expensive, a little more expensive than AAU basketball. AAU basketball is also kind of killing baseball for a lot of our youth because if you can play basketball year round, why indeed would I play baseball?
Thank you, Rashad. Well done. Your final pitch to the judges here. Obviously from the heart. Let's see what Ryan Cooley thought about that.
Hey, Rashad. How you doing, man? Yeah, hey, filling that time, I felt like you could have gone on for another 5 minutes, man. You were passionate. Hey, here's what I love about you, Rashad, is you were number one, first person to go in our auditions, and here you are in the Final Four. I remember the call we made when we got you into the Final 16, and that passion has never subsided. You've been strong the whole time. I think topic-wise, you were right on. It was something that was really something that you're really passionate about. You bounced around a little bit between whether it was baseball's fault or how they're marketing, but all that stuff. I know. You wanted more time. But all in all, man, really what I love about you most and the reason why I've always been a big fan of yours is your passion. You talk about it. You bring a unique perspective that I think we could really use at the radio station. And I've been a big fan from the get-go, and I haven't stopped the whole time. Thank you, Ryan. Great job.
Dusty Harry, you think we're going to see Rashad wandering the halls at the Fan next week?
I could. I thought that in the first two portions tonight, you kind of got exposed a little bit, and I thought with that one you killed it. I think that there's something real to that, And you won't get it from two white guys over there talking about why the black community isn't thriving in baseball. It's something that is relatable to everyone here. You didn't make it just about black kids in baseball. You made it about everybody in baseball too. But you kind of weaved it in there on why it isn't hitting with the African American community. And I thought you did a very good job of it. You had great command of it. And you were the first person that we've seen since the 4 minutes of the past 2 weeks that hasn't flamed out at all in the 4 minutes. You had plenty to go on, and that's something because segments are a lot longer than just 4 minutes. I thought that was very good.
Quickly to your coach, Isaac. Dusty apparently renaming your show now, but
I have street cred. He has no idea, but I do.
Oh, okay.
I'm very black. Okay, so here's what I think, Rashad. I don't think you're going to win this competition. You don't either? Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do this because they're right. You're not the best guy here. And you even just said that. But the whole idea of an African American on the fan and that perspective, that was great. I loved it. I loved your points. You're obviously credible on the topic, and so it's something that is needed, and I think the station could use. But are you the best guy? And the answer is, in this competition, no. Not tonight. But you came back a little bit there. That was good. And I think that there's an opportunity. There'll be opportunities for you. You have the ability to do this. I think the thing with you is you're going to need more coaching to slow down. Your thoughts are fast. You've got good points, but then you kind of ramble for a while and then get back to the point. You just need to slow down a little bit. That comes with experience. So I think you have a future in this. I don't think you should give it up.
And Rashad, a final word. What was your experience like? How much has the last 2 months kind of changed you or meant to you?
This has been fun. Sports is super fun, like I said in my little bio and everything. So it's been a great experience. Like somebody said a little earlier, man, these are a group of good guys. From the 16 that you picked initially down to the last 4, man. These dudes are super cool. So whoever gets it, man, definitely deserves it, man. Because this is hard. To come up here and talk in front of a bunch of people you don't know every week.